Hey guys, Casey Roy here. Thank you for joining me for my 5th video. Today I'm going to continue to talk about reviews. I've done 2 other videos. If you missed those, videos 3 and 4, check those out. Tonight's topic about reviews is going to be Facebook authors groups. I had already done research before I tried the authors group, so I pretty much knew what to expect based on what other YouTubers had said and what I'd found on the forums from reading from other individuals. What I found is just my opinion. It might work different from you. I have a feeling that a lot of it has to do with somebody's personality and how they talk to people. But I also think there's some other underlying things that will influence it. So I'll get into that. So the authors groups on Facebook, they're easy to join. There's a ton of them. They range in size from less than 1,000 to over 20,000. And there's one for just about every genre you can think of. Romance, sci-fi, fantasy, fiction, nonfiction, historical. There's probably one for erotica. I didn't look for it, but I can almost guarantee it's probably there. So they're easy to join. You just, like any group on Facebook, you apply, the admins let you in, you have a procedure for posting, and you'll generally be posting for ARC readers or beta readers or review readers or whatever you want to call them. So you'll put your name, the name of your book, or your blurb, any triggers like violence or sexual content or cursing or anything like that, you'll put that in there. And then you'll have a picture of your cover or a link to your book. And people will see it and they'll message you, hey, I'm interested, throw me a copy. Here's where the problem starts. So for the smaller groups, I would only post my book about once a week because the post didn't move down that often, and I didn't want to spam my book cover, so everybody was seeing it, constantly as they're thumbing down, and they just stopped paying attention to it. They wouldn't actually take the time to look at it. Maybe on a specific day that cover didn't catch their attention, but on another day it would. Well, if they're seeing it, 3 or 4 times every day as they're thumbing through, they're just not going to click on it anymore. They start blocking it out. So on the smaller groups, I limited to, once a week, maybe twice a week, if it was a busier one. For the larger ones, I would post a little more often, but I'd have to watch and see how the posts were going. For the one that was over 20,000, they were moving pretty frequently and constantly. So it was pretty easy to post a little more frequently without spamming others and being that upfront about it. So for all of those, depending on the ratios, the smaller ones, probably out of every 10 posts, I would see 2 responses. Out of all the websites, all the groups I was in, I got 2 responses out of the course of 3 weeks or so, somewhere around there. And they weren't asking for copies. Now, I could say that was because my cover wasn't interesting, my blurb wasn't interesting, but I was seeing this for everybody. If I saw 10 covers posted, 10 books posted, I was only seeing responses for about 2 of those out of that entire time. The rest of them just never got a response. And it was really odd, the ones that did. I thought, well, maybe it's the cover. No, I saw some really fantastic covers not get any responses. I thought, well, maybe it's just this type of fantasy. Nope, I'd see all different kinds getting passed up. I don't know what metric it was. Maybe it was just luck when somebody was looking and that one was right there when they opened it. I can't say. I didn't ask people. I just know there wasn't a huge turnover. So in that period of time, no responses. And I'm not going to spam my content. So I switched tactics. I started messaging other authors who had books that looked like mine. And it looked like they would enjoy reading mine. I'd enjoy reading theirs. And I'd say, hey, well, why don't we swatch copies? You're looking for a reader, I'm looking for a reader. So we'd do that. So I did this a number of times over the course of weeks. And, take the time and effort to read their stuff, give them feedback. And what I found was, almost without exception, when I gave my feedback, they got really defensive. And I understand I wasn't being mean or cruel with my feedback. I wasn't even being harsh or rude. I would say, well, you might want to look at your description. Just off the top of my head, the one had description. There was just way too many adjectives. They have words like 4 or 5 adjectives for one word. And it was just rampant through the book. I was just reading all about all the colors and sizes and shapes of everything. It was overload. And I said, well, you may have too much description. You might want to look at it. And it was instantly straight to, there was no, oh, what do you mean? Or give me an example. It was straight to, well, some people like a lot of description. Okay, sensitive subject. I'll back off that one. I had another one. I mentioned, hey, you got some words that are out of place here. Or this word doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. Well, I have editors. I don't need anybody. I don't need editors. Okay, another sensitive subject. That was an entirely different author. So what I found is all the authors that I talked to, they weren't really looking for feedback. I get the feeling they were just looking for a quick pat on the back, told they were doing good, and sent on their way. All those authors that I work with, I got zero feedback on my own content from all of them. Not a single one gave me feedback. The one person that I did give feedback to and get a positive reaction from, they only had a 6-page short story. And I wasn't going to ask them to read my 460-page book in exchange for their 6-page short story. I read it for them. I gave them my advice. They said, oh, cool. I didn't think about that. Thank you. And they went about the way. So that dude's I talked to him later. He was rewriting his book. Props to him for taking some feedback. I didn't say rewrite your book. There was only a couple of things. I think he decided to do that because he was going a different direction with the story. But props for him for taking feedback. That's really what you should do. If you're on a site to swap reviews with people, you can't get pissy with them because they're doing exactly what you're expecting them to do. So my opinion on authors groups for getting reviews, if that's the only reason you're going there to get people to read your book for reviews, it's a waste of time. It's a colossal waste of time. And the amount of time and effort you spend for the number of reviews I would have gotten, if each one of those people had given me reviews, I would have gotten 6 reviews for about 2 months worth of work. That's insane because it takes you a long time to read a book. Some of these books were fairly long. They were getting close to the length of mine, 70, 80, 100,000 words. And that's 2-3 days of reading for each one. And you figure that out of 6. I spent a lot of time reading other people's material, not working on my own. So it was just a colossal waste of time. I wouldn't recommend it. Now, if you may have a different approach, a different attitude, you may come across differently. It may be more luck from you. But I didn't have that luck. And if I had to put an analogy to it, I would say it's like a room full of used car salesmen all trying to sell cars to each other. There's no customers. It just won't work because nobody's buying. They're all selling. So that's what I think about those. There is something else, another thing I found that you can use those groups for, and I'll talk about that in another video, critique partners. Today I found my first one. So hopefully that goes well. I'll do another video telling you about that experience and how easy it is to find other critique partners. There's a whole thing to that. And you use them to bounce ideas off of in exchange for yours. So another video on that, but that's it for this one. Any comments or questions, post them down below. Thank you for watching.